Valentina arrived home from her job and discovered a brief message from her daughter on the table. Her connection with Nastya had been inconsistent, but she hadn't anticipated her daughter to depart from home in that manner. She reviewed the message repeatedly, memorized it, yet it appeared she had overlooked something crucial, misunderstood it. Valentina couldn't sleep during the night. The cushion appeared excessively firm, the blanket too weighty, she couldn't breathe because of the warmth. She began weeping, then engaged in an endless dialogue with her daughter, recollected all their disputes, joyful moments. Finally, weary of worrying, she got up, settled down at her writing desk, and switched on the table lamp. The message rested on her work documents, quite crumpled from frequent perusal. Valentina reread the message meticulously for the 100th time. No, she had comprehended it correctly. She even appeared to hear her daughter's irritated and reproachful voice. "I'm weary of your authority. You're exceedingly stringent. I desire to reside on my own. I'm a grown-up. You wouldn't permit me to depart anyway, so I'm departing while you're absent. I'm content. I'm not solitary. Don't seek me. I'm not returning." A missive devoid of an introduction or signature. "What about me?" Valentina inquired once more, as if her daughter could hear and respond. "And if anything befalls me, you have nowhere to report it. Don't you mind at all what befalls me." Nastya was presumably correct in her own way, but she, the mother, desired her to acquire an education, to secure a good job, so that a sudden feeling, an unplanned pregnancy, would not obstruct her from accomplishing all this. Are there mothers who permit their children absolutely everything? Valentina herself wedded as a student and recollected how love and passion rapidly subsided, evaporated, could not endure the trial of poverty, life in a cramped dorm room, unsettled life, and accumulated weariness. When Nastya arrived into this world, things became incredibly challenging. She and her spouse, the equally young student, lost mutual comprehension and argued incessantly. Perhaps Mom was accurate, and termination should have been considered back then. Nevertheless, Valentina believed their love would conquer all difficulties. Naive girl. 3 months later, she and her partner went separate ways. Valentina took a break and returned to her parents. Surprisingly, her mother grew fond of her granddaughter instantly, despite advocating for termination. She even allowed Valentina to complete her studies at the institute, while personally caring for Nastya and indulging her endlessly. As long as her parents were alive, Valentina encountered no hardships. Mom was nearby, keeping a close eye on the child. After graduating from the institute, she spent 2 years as an English instructor at school, and later secured a position as a translator. However, fortune didn't favor her in her private life. Her mother mentioned that it's about time to select a self-reliant gentleman, a grown-up. Nevertheless, Valentina encountered either wedded gentlemen who proposed only the position of a lover or separated ones, who relinquished everything to their ex-spouse and were in search of someone to adhere to. Valentina hesitated to initiate a connection with such individuals. As her parents departed one after the other, she and her daughter were left all alone. No one else was as close and cherished to Nastya as Valentina. Valentina devoted herself entirely to her daughter. Yet it turned out that her daughter didn't require it. Indulged by her grandmother, Nastya perceived her mother as excessively strict. Her aspirations revolved not around education and career, but around a life of liberty. And today, she departed from home. And I'll await. What else am I capable of doing? You'll return someday. I'm a mother, I cherish you, and I'll pardon you. Only if nothing unfortunate occurs to you. Valentina sighed, powered down the table lamp, and proceeded to bed. She tossed and turned for approximately 30 minutes, but drifted into an uneasy, responsive slumber. She couldn't embrace her daughter's departure for an extended period, anticipating her return, flinching at the bells and any sound beyond the door. In addition to working in the office, she typed transfers home and sat over magazines, abstracts, and scientific articles until deep into the night. She slept several hours a day. With such a workload, there was no time to pity herself. I contemplated my daughter, of course, and persuaded myself that everything was fine with Nastya. After 18 months, the doorbell chimed, and Valentina was pulled away from her work. She sadly removed her glasses and massaged her weary eyes. The translation progressed swiftly and effortlessly, and it was a shame to be interrupted. The bell rang once more, and Valentina stood up from her desk. She opened the door. Before her stood her daughter, who had lost weight and appeared less lively. Valentina was shocked and rushed to her. "Nastya, finally, I had been anticipating your arrival." But she encountered Nastya's cold stare and paused at the doorway. Only then did Valentina notice the baby in her daughter's arms. "Is it yours? Hand her to me." Valentina embraced the child. "A girl?" she exclaimed with delight. "I'll take her to her room, and you get undressed." Valentina moved the slumbering kid aside, placing her on the couch, and admired the lashes on her plump cheeks and the curved lips. When the noise of the door slamming shut reached her, she didn't immediately realize that Nastya had departed. There was complete silence from the hallway. She hurried over there and noticed a chubby bag left near the door. The only evidence of Nastya's visit was the damp footprints of her boots on the floor. Valentina swung the door open and called out towards the stairwell, "Nastya." She received no response, and no footsteps echoed downstairs. Valentina rushed to the window and peered down, but neither the car nor Nastya were at the entrance. "Nastya," Valentina whispered in desperation. She returned to the child's room. The unsuspecting girl was fast asleep. "Departed her daughter to me?" From a dreadful conjecture, Valentina tossed a fever. No, it couldn't be. She would surely return. The bag? She abandoned the bag. Valentina hurried into the hallway and brought the bag into the room. It contained only the child's belongings. The girl suddenly fidgeted in her spacious overalls, wrinkled her nose, and cried. Valentina began to undress her, calming herself more than the child, repeating that her mother would be back soon. She changed her diaper, and the girl calmed down. Valentina went back to her bag and found the girl's documents in the side pocket. And then a dreadful reality struck Valentina. Nastya had left the baby to her. The girl's name was Irina Leonidovna Tikhanova. So the daughter never married if she gave the girl her last name, father's patronymic, or wrote the first thing that came to mind, found a brief note that didn't say hello or goodbye. "Please let her remain with you for a while." And that was it. Valentina emptied her bag and discovered a bottle, an opened box of formula. Gratitude for that, she pondered, and soared to the kitchen to dilute the formula. The neglected translations rested on the table. Another phase of life commenced. Valentina completely shifted to working from home, intending to stay close to her granddaughter all the time. She was fatigued, putting in maximum effort, but content that life had purpose. At the age of 1, Irochka started attending a kindergarten, with Valentina enrolling her after making arrangements. Valentina clarified to the head that her own mother worked as a translator and often went on business trips. Time elapsed. Valentina grew closer to the composed and radiant girl, and the child preferred to call her not grandmother but mother. "You have another mom, my daughter." "I am a grandmother," Valentina explained to her granddaughter. However, Irochka forgot and continued to call her mother. "Address me as Valya. I'm Valya, Grandma Valya," Valentina once told Irochka. The female nodded and from that moment on referred to her exclusively as Valya, without her grandma. Nastya never returned, never sent a single message. The time was getting close for Irochka to attend school. Valentina was anxious. What if the head of the school didn't approve of the fact that the girl resided with her grandmother? What if the authorities got involved? She postponed it until the last minute. In late August, she went to the school where she herself had been employed for 2 years. The head teacher had changed. Valentina immediately realized that anything could be expected from a strict, beautiful woman with cold, piercing eyes. But the principle stayed the same. Valentina disclosed everything at her own risk, and he arranged everything. Irochka was admitted to the school without any debate. Valentina adored Irochka to such an extent that presently she dreaded her daughter's comeback. She did not indulge her excessively. She wasn't that sort of person, but she offered her everything of herself, attempted to ensure that Irochka had all she required. During school gatherings, she took pride in hearing the commendations for her granddaughter. Irochka matured as a perceptive girl beyond her years. Valentina frequently questioned if Nastya was the same, and sadly acknowledged to herself that neither hard work nor inquisitiveness distinguished Nastya. A year later, she quit music school. She did not enjoy reading, did not aspire to anything. Only strolls occupied her thoughts. Spring arrived early and balmy this year. En route to the school to collect Irochka, Valentina headed to the shop. They strolled back home leisurely, relishing the spring sunshine. Ira shared her school updates, while Valentina carried a burdensome satchel, a bag with spare shoes, and a grocery sack. Upon reaching the entrance, she paused, searching for the key to the coded lock. "Mom," Nastya's voice unexpectedly echoed from behind. Valentina turned, startled, and accidentally dropped her keys. It took her a moment to recognize her daughter. Nastya now appeared like a vivid, high-priced, and stylishly attired blonde. Even from a distance, Valentina caught a faint whiff of costly perfume. Nastya seemed somewhat unfamiliar, alien, yet she was her daughter. Valentina felt joy, but Nastya's sudden presence foreshadowed only one thing: she would take Ira away. Irochka seized the keys and handed them to Valentina. Her heart filled with dread as she observed Nastya gazing intently at her daughter. Although Irochka gazed at the attractive stranger with curiosity, she still embraced Valentina. "You returned after all, and I even know why," she remarked, opening the door and ushering Irochka indoors. Nastya had no intention of disclosing to her daughter who she was right there on the street. Someone might be peering through the window. All three of them silently ascended to the third floor, entered the apartment, and only then Valentina inquired how long her daughter had been visiting. "Aren't you pleased to see me?" Nastya asked boldly. "I've been awaiting your arrival for so many years, and now I see you look good, so you've settled down in life." "Yes, I reside in Spain, married. You didn't think I'd forgotten about." They both turned their attention to the quiet Irochka simultaneously. "Go to your room and change your clothes," Valentina instructed her. "Irochka, I'm your parent," Nastya interrupted her, approached her offspring and wanted to embrace her. But Ira concealed behind Valentina, and then ran into the chamber. "Why are you so swift? She needs time to accustom herself. She doesn't recall, doesn't know you," Valentina reprimanded her offspring. "You're in your repertoire. You know best when and what to perform." Nastya laughed artificially, but her eyes remained melancholy. "Isn't that why you handed her to me?" Valentina parried. "I arrived for her. As soon as I get the documents on her, we'll depart." "You'll have to endure me, mother," Nastya said defiantly. It was a peculiar encounter. They were kin, but they could not find tender words for each other. What did Valentina expect? There was nothing she could do about it. She would be unaccompanied again. At dinner, Nastya told me how well she was living in Spain, what a residence and pool she had. I was frightened to disclose my daughter to my spouse, and when he discovered, he scolded me so intensely for concealing it from him. He persuaded me to go and get Ira. "And the one you fled from home for," Valentina taunted. "What's there to converse about him now? When he abandoned me without money, I didn't know how to survive. That's why I brought my daughter to you. I knew you'd implore me to remain, so I departed without explaining anything. I desired to recover and take Irochka then. So I was a lousy mother to you, but a good grandmother to Irochka." Valentina couldn't keep silent. I'm sorry, I wasn't just to you. I know you tried. You did everything for my benefit. Mom, that's my daughter. I'm gonna take her anyhow. What about me? You felt bad, and you pondered about me. How am I gonna live with a little kid and work when you left her to me? And how will I live on? Irochka is the sole meaning in life. Their discussions turned out peculiar, burdensome, with denunciation for the transgressions brought to each other. But Valentina realized that it was imperative to stay amicable with her daughter, not adversaries. She is older, wiser, and more intelligent, and she is ready to make concessions for the sake of Irochka, and she exerted her utmost. The day of departure was drawing near. Will Valia accompany us? Irochka inquired Nastya one day. She had referred to her mama once when Nastya had requested her to. No, Grandma will stay here. You'll grow up, and you'll be able to pay her a visit. Then I'm not going anywhere either, Ira said stubbornly. Even Valentina couldn't convince her. She kept anticipating that Nastya would propose that she join them. She would have said yes. She would have given up everything to be close to her daughter and granddaughter. However, Nastya refrained. She traveled to Spain alone, as Irochka threatened to escape regardless. Prior to that, she engaged in a final altercation with Valentina, disclosing that she intentionally turned Irochka against her and pledged to gain custody of her daughter through legal means. That marked the conclusion. 8 additional years elapsed before Nastya reunited with them. Her spouse had passed away. He was significantly older than her, and his relatives had disinherited Nastya. They simply evicted her. Fortunately, she had enough personal funds for a ticket. Ira grew up and interacted more positively with her mother. For a period, the three of them cohabitated until Nastya encountered a new spouse and moved in with him. Irochka stayed with Valentina and visited her mother. Every household encounters its own issues, hidden truths. It's unfortunate when there is a lack of understanding between a mother and daughter. Everyone endures the consequences.